Hey everyone, um, it's CZ again. This will be a developer commentary for my recent game, Niji R. Uh, I released this game, I think it was back in August, the version 1, when I had finished it, and I've been patching it since when I see other people play the game and whatever. But, yeah. I'm doing a developer commentary now because I'm at home alone at the moment, so I hopefully do not have any other distractions, like any additional noise or what have you, to make it to where this is a viable situation to record the commentary for. But to start with, I guess I have a bit of an announcement. There is going to be since I saved all the development footage that I recorded while I was making this game, I think it would be cool if I recorded another video with me reacting to all the development footage and giving more commentary, kind of like a developer commentary part 2 type shit. So that may come eventually, but it just really depends on when I actually get around to it. And you guys know, if you've seen any of my like actual posts and how long they are in between each other, that it might not be anytime soon, but I think it'll happen eventually because I have some new things in the works as well, which I can't really say much about, but you will see soon enough. And possibly I'm also thinking about making other updates to this, as well as Snow 5, which is my previous game, Shinyu no Oni 5, the real finale. And I'm thinking of adding like cutscene skips and maybe a try to get the dev room back in because I lost it during development. Because I made a really funny accident, and RPG Maker does not let you fucking undo the fact that you just deleted a map, and I spent like 6 hours working on it, and it was a whole mess. But it's completely unrelated to this video, but yeah. So welcome to Niji R. I would like to preface this by saying that the entire reason that I made this game, it wasn't something that I had actually planned to do, but what ended up happening was that I was in the middle of translating the first Niji, and I played through the game, and I was like, I think the game itself had potential, but it's plagued by a lot of problems because Silver Bullet, for some reason, just decides to do things in such a weird way. I mean, I know it's kind of like a Korean Oni dev sort of staple to do things in a weird way, considering how much bigger the community is over there at that time and whatever, but I don't really like the way he did it. So I took the original game and I basically made a remake version of it, kind of forming it around the original game. So that's where this remake comes in. If you're wondering why the title screen is also like this, it's based on the format of the original game, except I have the paratitle script, which is one that was used for Chrome Oni, but I made a custom modification to it to where it just skips the splash screen because I thought it was really unnecessary. And then I also made all of these assets when it comes to the font. Well, I didn't make the font, but I made this kind of highlight and whatever because I wanted it to be different from the last projects. And of course, this is a game, since I am a part of Jailhouse Games, that I put their name on it, even though I'm technically the developer, lead and everything. Even though, much like with my last game, I had a lot of help. But I think, all things considered, that this game is significantly better than my last one, purely because I think the fact that this game actually has almost an hour's worth of gameplay in it, rather than the half of the game being cutscenes, even though the other one is a joke game. I don't look back at this game now kind of like I do with Snow 5, and I don't hate it. I mean, I don't hate Snow 5 because I go back to play it every once in a while, and I say I really can't hate it because, you know, of course it was my first full like project that I had ever released and everything, so it's kind of giving unfair criticism and whatever. But I think this is just a testament to show how far I've come as a developer in between that time and the release of this game, as well as anything that I have coming in the future, which is planned to be even more ambitious than this. So, without further ado, I know I started rambling on a bunch, but we'll start the game. So I'm not going to actually read out the text out loud, so I'll leave that up to you guys, since I'll just be like reading it in my head, and then I'll like advance the story or the text like that, and then I'll make commentary about things that I feel is necessary. So here we go. Oh wait, before I start the game, I should also note that I did change the title music on purpose because I did not want to use the original music that they used in Niji, because that song's copyrighted. Although technically this one also did get content ID'd. I did want something that kind of had like an ambient piano sound to it, because I felt like that kind of matches what this game is going for. So it's I believe this one is called, is it Darkest Night by Miyu? Yeah. If you've ever heard, there's like a bunch of videos that use like creepypastas and whatever that use music that Miyu made, so you will definitely know who that is if you look it up. So I think that's all I wanted to say about this, but let's go. That's your warning, by the way. I always put that there. I really should have put that there when I actually made the demos rather than before I released the full game, but it's kind of just like a whole quality thing, I guess, after releasing the full game to make it actually like a complete thing. Oh yeah, also, this scene, this intro segment, went through a lot of changes through the development of the demos, because it used to be longer, but I just shortened it for the full game. But also, something funny, if you guys want to know, that the way that this operates, the way I had to place the R was the R has to be an entirely separate image, depending on the position of where it's at, because I think I made it over like a black background with the word Niji, but I couldn't put something overlaid on top of it, so I put a transparent PNG of the R specifically in that position. I was kind of impressed when I actually first figured that out, to be honest with you. But also, artwork is done by Misty City. I'm sure you guys will recognize this style if you know Kura Nobukujo Oni, or I believe also it's in Bros Oni, any of Misty City's games, and maybe some of Loki's projects. But yeah, I commissioned them for this and some other pieces for the game, so you will see that shortly. Also, I decided, because this section of the game, or at least this lore segment, technically doesn't really happen until like the third floor of the game, which I think is way too late because it's kind of like story exposition of exactly why things are happening. So I decided to move it straight to the front of the game, like in the beginning. Also love how I managed to just completely run out the music. Also, if you couldn't tell by now, the reason that they're stuttering is because, you know, they're freezing. You know, when you'd be like, because, like, you're chattering teeth or whatever, you know? Also, I point this out every single time that this happens, but the whole reason I had a fade there was because there's a weird issue I had with the tile set priority. How he was like clipping through the ladder when he went to the front of it. So, I just hit that with a fade. Because I never actually figured out how to fix that. Also, this scene has been changed from the original because the original, for some reason, seems to say that the character in question, Lee, seems to have committed suicide, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense in terms of the plot, so I kind of like rewrote it while I based the entire plot around that, at least in terms of the intro segment of how they got here. Also, shout out to Lockie, because Lockie helped a lot with the sprite work in this game. It really made these cutscenes a lot more dynamic. Okay, now we have control. So, there's actually something you can do here. You can interact with this again, and it just displays the exact same cutscene somewhat. That actually wasn't in a previous version, and neither was this walk to the place. But I decided to add it for brevity's sake because right after that cutscene, he just went straight walking to the mansion. But this is important specifically for later, just so you know it's continuity. This layout also changed a little bit. Okay, now we're starting the game off for real. So immediately, I think, yeah, you can go immediately back outside. There's a funny haha reference here. But this is a, well, I'm pretty sure you guys will figure it out. Yeah, if you have not figured that out, but that was a reference to Gon Oni, and that was not in Demo 1. I believe I put that in when I made Demo 2, but yeah, that's basically what it's like. So a lot of this first floor, by the way, is very closely resembling the original map, except it's divided into segments rather than being one huge map. As well, I kind of made a I made some oh, I can't even go into that room yet. Oops. Oh wait, yeah, I think I literally can't interact with anything until I actually do the thing. I think I did that on purpose so that you wouldn't have to kind of get lost at not knowing what to do. But there is this part, at least specifically what this is referencing, is I think you have to get some matches from I think it's that one room that you go in where you encounter the Oni, and then you light the fireplace and it allows you to do something, because this game is very cryptic. But I decided to do that in a different order because it makes a lot more sense in this way. Unlit firewood in the fireplace, as well as just about every single thing that you can interact with is symbolized by these little blue icons, these items, so that it's not cryptic or hard to understand. There's also, nobody found this, but I put a funny little Easter egg right here, because this was sort of a development joke based on the original game, because there is a lot of, actually, if I can get it, I'll explain it, but it's literally like a 1 in 1,000 chance. You can stand here face up while you're holding C, and it'll just keep cycling through like the generating the random number for the thing that you need. And then once it actually matches the exact number that I set, then it plays the thing, and it will only play one time and never again. It doesn't literally do anything besides the fact that it's just funny. But and you know what's funny is when I was testing this, I could actually not really get it to appear because it was like, I think it's like 1 in 1,000 if I recall, the way I made it. So it's kind of hard to test something when you have it a 1 in 1,000 chance if you're trying to actually get it in a normal like testing setting, if that makes sense. As if like, you know, you're gonna organically find it. You guys are probably thinking, what is he doing? He's crazy. Like, what is he talking about? Look, I made the game, right? Actually, did I even put the fact that you can interact with this yet? Or maybe not. I'm not playing it in playtest mode, so I can actually look at the F9 for the variables and stuff. Actually, I will do this for now, and then we'll come back to it. Either I was just getting really unlucky, or I made it to where you can't actually do anything with it yet. Yeah, and then look at that. That is a separate piece, so it doesn't look like it's in there, but that's the way the original game did it. But also, look at that. You go into the room, then it fades back to normal, but you come in here, you get the sounds, and then it gets a little bit lighter. So now is gotta go to sleep. Play that one little meme. I also felt like it was necessary to make it that, because the original game goes 0 to 100 immediately. Like when you enter the mansion, you see the Oni going into the room immediately. Like there's no build up or anything. So I decided I would make it at least a little bit more I don't know if you want to say suspenseful, but like not so fast paced, considering this game is actually meant to be horror. Time to go. And would you guess what happens now? I'm being a little sarcastic. Also, yeah, that's your cue that something else is here. So I believe everything else opens up at this point. You don't actually have to do this in a particular order as of yet. So let me see if I can get this to work. Well, you technically have to do it because, like, the order you grab things isn't necessarily important, but the way you use them obviously is kind of in like a scripted way, I guess you could say, because the progression is mostly linear. Yeah, this game over here literally making me look crazy. I did set it to be like 1 in 1,000 though, and it has to match a specific number, so either I'm just having really bad luck, or I didn't actually, because I remember I tested it, but I've also made changes to the game since then, but I don't think I touched it. I think I did actually change it one time, because originally it would just have you spamming C in order to actually generate the number, but the way I changed it is I made it a parallel process to where you could just hold C and it would continually generate new numbers. Okay, I'm not even gonna lie, that fucking scared the shit out of me just because I wasn't expecting it to happen. But yeah, that was the thing. And that's entirely a joke on the fact that the original game a lot of the times just had flavor text everywhere, just said there's nothing. It's like, what was the point of that? I really don't know. It doesn't make any sense. It's not really useful. Grabber. Oh yeah, also, well, actually, when I get the item, I will have to commentate about it, since I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it already. This was originally supposed to be a hairdryer of some sort, but I decided that a heat gun worked better after I considered that it probably would be something that they would have around here inside a place that snows. Also, these bookshelves have lore about taking place about things that happened before the game. Also, the person who wrote these is, I kind of left them to be anonymous on purpose because it's not necessarily meant to, it's not meant to have somebody tied specifically to it, but rather, you know, they're just kind of like a plot for the lore, at least the reason why it is the way it is. Memo, and then here's your first puzzle. It's a counting puzzle of everything that's around here, so you just count those and then you put them into the, I already know the code. Actually, wait, there's a, I think there's a funny, yeah. I put that in very late. If you're not in the know, then 8008 spells boob. I think only Onigamer found that, but I told him that. Wait. Huh? No, wait, no, 3534. I'm thinking of... I was thinking of my other game. I memorized the code for that. But I believe this chest originally has the bathroom key to it, but it's something that you have to do later. Make sure you save right here though, because there is immediately a chase. The tension effect that I used for this is something that I got from Jay. And also, I had planned to use something like this in Snow 5, but wouldn't you know it is that I couldn't get it working properly. And if any of you guys went through snooping through the project file, if you decrypted the game, demo 1 of that game actually still has remnants of that somewhere in it, but it was never used. But I did get it working there, and I quite like it, so that's good. As well as the Oni jump scare. That's just a hue shifted version of the normal Oni image that you see during the cell scene, I think, or like during when he opens the closet. And then the shaking is some event that I found according to Mito Oni 2's code when the Oni appears in that game. So I decided to use that. A bathroom. Yay! This is actually a map that I made myself. It was technically based off of the original map in a way, but it is mostly original. This one up here is also mostly original, because I don't think there's a room like that that actually looks that way in the original game. Oh yeah, there was another door that used to be right here during early development, but I took it out because I didn't actually end up using it. I don't think it was for anything in particular, but yeah, you can. Not an Oni fan game if you can't play with the toilet. That's relevant. Also, I was really proud when I got this working. It was very jank when I first made it because I did it in a weird way where he would have to be standing in a certain direction, but I parallel processed it to say that he was standing on this tile so that it looks like it's actually consistent. But if you look at the mirror, you guys probably know what this is if you've seen it before, so you know, look at it multiple times and you just die. It's a reference to Zero Oni R, because the original Zero Oni had you staring into mirrors and then you get jump scared. But I decided to go with the Zero Oni R approach to make it at least a little bit more subtle, to where it's not like a jump scare, because I think those are really unnecessary and I really don't like them. So also, fun little fact, if you actually manage to run in here while you're being chased by the normal Oni after you get the bathroom key, you can look at the mirror and you immediately die, but it's only with the normal Oni. Nobody found that, but that's actually a thing that happens, which I probably could have shown you, but I already saved over it, so it's disgusting. Yeah, I believe in the original game too that you found something in the toilet, but oh yeah, you know who this is. So yeah, Squatto appears at the toilet, same just like it does in the other game, or the original game, but I think it was way better because Locky did this bright work on that, and it was way cooler. Also, every Oni in this game has their own unique chase music, which is something that I wanted to do for another project, but that one is kind of on hiatus at the moment. If you know, you know. A dirty lever. It's covered in a putrid substance. And there's your normal lever. And you gotta do that because he's not handling it with his hands. I kind of assumed that he was moving it around with the grabber that entire time, but that's important for this particular puzzle. Note: this puzzle cipher actually changed in between demos and then to the full game because some people were very confused by this, so I added that. It's based on the location of the two clocks, but this one's missing the lever, and then if you try to put the lever on it when it's dirty, he'll say, "Oh no, I don't want to do that." So I believe this one is 1, 4, 3, 2, 2, 2, 3, 1, 4. Actually, I might have to go back and check them. I'm pretty sure this one's 1432. Oh, 2314. Okay. So I got it in the right way, but it's backwards. 2314. Oh yeah, I should also show this off since I'm doing this right now. If you look at both the clocks, why are they different? That doesn't actually serve any lore significance, but I just thought that was a cool little detail. And kind of like a hint towards the puzzle. That's also one thing about the original game that I felt like was lacking, is that there were like no puzzles at all. So I took it upon myself to make some that I thought would work. Huh? 2314? Hello? 2314 1432. 1, 4, 3, 2. Okay, I don't know what I did wrong, but there it is. In really early versions of this game, before I even released Demo 1, this room was actually unchanged from the original that had the wine bottles that you used to break with the hammer. And I was actually thinking of something to do with that for a puzzle that you had to break them in a certain order or something. But I ended up deciding against it because I was posting on Discord about the kind of dilemma I had with making a puzzle for this. And somebody was like, I think they're the one that made a suggestion like this. And then I was like, I had already made the maps, so I decided to include that with the clocks because I felt like that was an easy retroactive solution to make it for the puzzle. So now going to the basement, which is actually a basement and not a fucking, what is it, like an underground layer or something? I don't know what it is. But also, if you recognize this, this is best friend's head from Beppu Oni. There's also a funny skip here that in an earlier version of the game that I didn't realize. I think it was when I released Demo 1 that you could actually input the code in here before you should be able to, and then you would just be able to skip the puzzle entirely. Because, well, you'll see it in a minute. But I want to show you what happens if you don't turn off the water pressure. So basically, more or less what my headcanon for that is that the pressure from the pipes causes them to burst, and then there's ice shards that go flying and strike him in the chest or something, and he just fucking dies. That's kind of what I had, but I didn't have any sprites or anything for that, so I just decided to go for a, you know, black screen, and I guess I'll leave it up to imagination. So now we can defrost the pipes. Also, the original version of this puzzle entailed something to do with a water heater, I believe. And I was going to have you collect a propane tank and put it somewhere outside near the edge of the house, but I felt like that would make it really weird that you would be able to leave the house, which is kind of like not a thing that you should be able to do in Oni games, because, like, you know, characters trapped, kind of like 80 slasher, whatever the fuck, you know? And you have to turn back on the pressure valve because now the water is running and you can go back to the bathroom. Also, that before, in earlier versions of the game, was you had a choice between cold and hot water, which cold water literally did nothing, so I just removed it. I honestly don't know why I put it there, because I think this was kind of meant to be a puzzle, but it's not really a puzzle. But I didn't think of another way to be able to actually do the puzzle itself, so I just kind of left it like that. But also, you can look at the mirror and it's all clouded up. And you can actually still die. You can see him very briefly if you look closely. That was actually not my idea. That was actually City's idea, the one who did the artwork. And I implemented it because I was like, oh, hey, that's really cool, you know? But if you come back in here, then, you know, it's still steam is everywhere. It's actually just a generic fog. No. Why am I going back to reading the book? I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to do that. Stop. 7968. There we go. Oh yeah. the thing was meant to move in case it would, like, you turned it off, I think it was meant to move to the on position, and then it would just be stuck. It wasn't like that, but I decided to do that in case you wanted to go back to the bathroom and use the water again. This was also a cutscene that I had meant to put in the game at the start of Demo 2, but it didn't end up making it into the game until I made the full game, which actually, this was one of the last things that I made. I think it was literally the last thing that I made. I was kind of proud of it though, because like this entire thing is grayscale, which it might look like I just put a filter over the screen, but no, actually everything in the thing is grayscale. Like I made a black and white version of every single thing by just turning down the chroma, I think it was, or the shadows or the highlights on every single thing, like the window skin, the actual tile set that's used here, the character portraits, to make it look like it's a flashback. I feel like this scene might be lacking some music. I didn't really add any in though, because I didn't think it was really particularly going to be necessary, since it's kind of a short scene. It's made to have additional context for the reason that they're there in the first place, though. Because, you know, lore continuity and all that. So you're probably wondering how I ended up in the situation. So right here, you can grab the axe. Originally in the original Niji, that axe is used to break down a door, I think, or breaking down multiple doors that just kill you. So I implemented it for a puzzle this time. This layout right here for the second floor is also a combination of multiple areas in the original game. So the layout is quite different from what you'll see on the normal second floor. But it is, I think, similar enough to make sense to what it's referencing. Ooh, lore. Very weird. Also, this shield right here, in the original game, you take it off the wall and it reveals a key, but I decided to make it a puzzle item. This was actually the first idea I had for a puzzle when it came to the second floor, because I thought it would be cool because it's something I never actually did before and it was different. You'll see what I mean in a second, but Oni room. Actual like Oni room though, because the original game is just got the one with the cell and the screaming cats. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Oh yeah, you can't open the... But if you see that right there, it's a little bit hard to see, but there's something inside the cell, and you can use a grabber to pick it up. And from this point, you have Hunchback, who comes after you. If you try to go back into the cell, all of the Onis just immediately aggro onto you. which I did that on purpose because B is cool 52 kept going into the cell, which you were not supposed to be doing that. So that's weird that it ran the check at that point. Oh well. But much like 6.23's Oni Room, you'll probably recognize that none of them are here. There's something on the floor. Wine bottles. Also, the description of each of these items is meant to give you a hint as to what they're being used for. They're not particularly useful as actual items, but that's not the point. You'll see soon enough. Actually, I should show this off. I'm actually kind of proud of this. It's the fact that I edited this with the way it looks like that, also on the sprite, because I think it was after demo 2 that I released. I actually went and made some things look a little bit more polished and better, so I'm a little proud of that. But I'm sure you can guess who's going to appear here if you know anything about the original game. But what's going on here, look at this room, and then the room directly next to it, some things are missing. There's a safe on the wall. So this was my kind of answer to having something, rather than obtaining a key for something, because I really did not like old fan games when they were just key finding simulators. So I decided to make this puzzle something else to kind of like, I guess, supplement or change that a little bit, because I don't think any of the puzzles on second floor give you a key except for the last one, and they're all none of them have numbers based in them. And I did that very intentionally because I thought the first floor was 2-number puzzle heavy. Because the first one, it's the one that you have to count. The second one is the number code for the clocks. And then the third one is the number you get from the mirror on the Steam. So I wanted second floor not to be anything like that, just so the puzzle variety kind of didn't get stale. So the entire second floor is like that. Piano keys. Piano keys. Rainbow colored piano keys. Because you know the game is called Niji. Time to put them back. And there's those arrows that are a hint for another puzzle that's coming up. Which, this idea I had actually was a kind of unique take on the piano puzzle, I think, considering it doesn't involve any numbers. But yeah, jellyfish appears here because, much like in the original Niji, where it has all those dramatic fire pillars and everything, and then it summons jellyfish, I decided to make it to where he also appears at the place where the piano's at. And fun fact, originally I had an idea that I might have made a boss battle involving jellyfish, but I couldn't really come up with a good idea for the battle itself, so I kind of canned it. And this section up here when he came out the wall was actually something that was entirely unplanned up until late into the development of Demo 2. So this part of the map, or this part of the mansion, is entirely new and unique to my design. Also, this particular map used to be a maze, but it got replaced by something else that is more of a maze later, so I decided to retroactively go back and change it so that I didn't have two of the same thing. But this is a unique puzzle that I came up with after I was looking for the idea for the last one of the second floor. Also, I added the caps in there because some people were confused about what this particularly entails. So what you have to do is follow the directions, like, you know, the Northwest, the Knight of the Northwest. He's reminiscing about his kingdom, you know, kingdom. He goes to place him down like that because you should be looking at the king because he's from the Southwest. She is looking upon the night sky, and night kind of has like a double meaning. What do they call that? The one where it's like there's two. Basically what I'm trying to say is night, K-N-I-G-H-T, and then N-I-G-H-T is the same word, but it doesn't mean the same thing. But that was your hint. And that's the reason that was all caps. And then the queen, you know, king and queen, the princess. Obviously the princess is the daughter of the queen, so the queen is looking for the daughter. And then the king is looking for someone to inherit the throne, and the prince being, you know, son of the king, can inherit the throne. Or at least that's the way that I had the headcanon for the lore of how this puzzle works. And funnily enough, I had a weird epiphany trying to come up with this puzzle because I started asking people in the Discord what I should do, and I remember that Nafara sent me, he said to look up a game called Crow Country. I didn't actually watch the game, but I looked at the itch page and I saw one particular screenshot, and then that puzzle idea just fucking hit me like a truck, and I was like, okay, I have to roll with that because that's different, and literally other fan games that I know don't actually do anything like that. And it's a very unique puzzle. Okay, padlock. So that one's done. So if you remember the this is like a 5.2 thumb puzzle, but if you remember the hint that's on the piano with where the arrows are pointing, they are indicating where the things go. There was also an idea that I had for another puzzle that I was going to do for this, but I just didn't end up going through with it. I don't even remember what it was, but I didn't have a really good basis for the puzzle. And then Onigamer was actually the one that suggested something like this. I really didn't want to take something from, I believe it was 5.2, but I really didn't have any other ideas, and I kind of wanted to push out Demo 2 if I could do it rather quickly. Also, haha, funny. Watch what happens here. You You know, it's a you know, you gotta close the door moment, because if you gotta get jump scared. But even if you close the door, yeah, no. That's what you got the padlock for. Which I believe the padlock is like a thing that they implemented in like Aoni 2. I feel like it made more sense though. And funnily enough, I actually made that graphic. It kind of looks like junk when you actually zoom in on it, but the way it appears in the game, I think it's fine. It's based off an icon I found on I believe it was Flat Icon, but I made it in sprite form and I just put it on the tile set over like that thing. Ooh, cell seed. Gotta have the iconic part. Also, yeah, you can't reclose it, but you don't need to. Oh yeah, you can't look at anything if you've already done that part of the puzzle. Or at least you shouldn't be able to. So now on to the 3rd floor, which again was a kind of difficult task for me because I was already running out of ideas. But I kind of like how it came out. I should go after that rat. So this puzzle, more or less what the idea I had when I made this was I wanted something that was a bit of a red light, green light type thing where you could move and stop moving at particular intervals. So yeah, so basically, you don't want to move when the lights are off. And this is a hint as to specifically what you or where you're supposed to go. You can save the game at any time as well. Also, if you open the wrong chest, you get a funny little... I thought that was kind of fire when I made it. Like, I actually really liked that. But the original puzzle that this is based off of, it's not really a puzzle, but it's a maze room in the original game. And the 4 corners each have a chest. And only one of them is the real chest. And then when you get the item from the chest, then you have to go back through the whole maze and do a chase and everything. And he only has like the speed up AI and everything, and it's a whole mess. But my whole idea was that the way that you have to go is meant to cross paths directly in front of the Oni. Kind of like, it's not necessarily like tension or whatever, but I thought it would be a little more horror-like if you had to go directly past the Oni. So you have to directly go, next to him. He's not moving, and it's not a prop or anything. Like, that is actually the Oni, because you can actually just straight up walk up to him. Actually, I could show you. It's literally... Yeah, he's just abiding by the rules, dude. But also, you can straight walk into him and just die. So, Yeah, you know, you don't want to do that. So that is the real Oni, the real Odelio. But he's not gonna move as long as you don't move when the lights are off. I don't know exactly what my rationale was between having the lights off to have that happen. I think maybe it was because it's like more horror because, you know, the lights are off, you can't see anything. Okay, so that's your cue to go back. That's the reason your character looked over there. The rat hasn't come out yet. I might have to wait. Now, some people actually got confused by that, rather thinking they had to just wait here, but no, you're not supposed to wait. You're supposed to go back. Which I probably could have communicated that better, but I also did have the character face the direction that he's supposed to be going, kind of like when he opened the door in the beginning of the game near that one room, to kind of nudge you in that direction. So at least that was the idea that I had. So you get to go back out now. I believe also it won't let you go out if the lights are off. I did that because there was a slight problem when it came to what I was eventing in terms of you being able to escape this room and me not actually programming a particular chase to come out from this door, and you know, or the fact that you could get soft locked because then you would just keep spawning and then running immediately at you. So I fixed that to where you can't actually do that, but some weird things are happening on this floor. Now see, he doesn't actually chase you out the room, but then he just appears right in front of you at the, coming out the floor. Also, he does not have his dash ability because I had him utilize the smart chase AI, which does not allow me to make Fuwadi have the dash ability because any move route gets completely overwritten by the Pathfinder script. So that's the reason why he doesn't dash the way that he does. But yeah, wait. Okay, yeah, there's a lore book right here. Weird things are happening, man. Pair of gloves. So yeah, that's your indication to go back here. The lights are fixed now, so you don't have to worry about that. But also, if you notice, Fuwadi is gone because he was chasing you over there. And all the other fake chests are gone too. But the reason that you got the gloves was so that you could pick up the rat. Because obviously you're not going to pick up a rat that's been stuck in a mansion with your bare hands because you're going to get a disease or something. Can't reach it? Use a grabber again. Weird. So the whole reason I had you keep some of the items that you got from a while ago was because I actually had intended for future uses with those particular items. But the padlock and key is actually not something that you use again, and neither is the heat gun, but I felt like removing it from the inventory would just leave a weird plot inconsistency, if that makes sense. No, 3F room key is right here. So you notice there's a safe on the wall. So the first puzzle of this floor was, you know, the puzzle with the movement that doesn't have anything to do with numbers. So then the third floor is a combination of puzzles with numbers and then non-number based puzzles. But I can feel a draft coming from the hole in the wall, so put the rat in there. If you try to go back, then you can't. Originally, what the plan for this was, by the way, if you're curious, was that there was going to be a section where you unscrewed a vent. You used a screwdriver to unscrew a vent. And then you would send the rat in, and then there would be a maze segment where you would have to find your way to the item and then back out. And then you would get chased by the roach. But I decided to not do that because... for one, I didn't have a tile set for a vent, but also, oh yeah, and I just died, but also, I wouldn't feel like that particular tile set or whatever would work for this game. So I made it another hole in the wall behind the thing like I did when I made that one on the second floor. But the way this roach works, if you know anything about, I believe it's 5.2, he's based on proximity. So you try to leave and then he gets aggroed on you and you gotta run. Now the rat's gone. Code. Paper. So this was something I was planning to use for another game, but I didn't have another idea for what I was going to use for the particular puzzle in order to make something that was unique in terms of a number code, because it's kind of like the one in 623 where it's the objects or the shapes and the amount of vertices that they have, like, you know, the one that has a triangle, the circle, and whatever. Except this one starts from the one in the top. So the top is a square, and then there's a circle inside that. Then there's a star inside the pentagram, and then a pentagon inside the star. Which, you know, if you recognize the shape, it's just a pentagram. But each subsequent one that goes down is the number that you use for the amount of sides to obtain the code. I thought that was a really interesting idea for a puzzle, at least. I also had all these doors open automatically when you needed to do them because I really didn't want to bother with having keys everywhere. This puzzle is very different. So this number map is directly correlated to the positions of the particular doors. So if you see this, starting from here, that's 1, that's 2, that one over there is 3. So the position of these aren't random, but this actually used to have a line that connected all of them, kind of like the layout of the room, but I decided to get rid of it because I felt like that made it way too obvious. But if you look here on the paper has a number on it, which you have to then line up with what's on the number map. So 10, so that 10 is up there. The original game, or not the original game, I don't even remember what I was saying. Is that a 7 or is that a 1? Oh, that's a 1, okay. 9. So what I did for this was I literally took 0 to 10, or 1 to 10. I just plugged it in a random generator to tell me like, hey, spit out an order for this. So that's why they're like that. So this is how I got the order. But this puzzle is something that's inspired by, because at the time I was playing the game Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Sharp FE. You know, the Fire Emblem SMT crossover game thing. So I was playing that at the time, and this puzzle is inspired by that particular thing, but it's a different take on the puzzle, of course, because I didn't do it that exact same way. But it's different, at least in, you know, an out fan game way. 7, yeah, up here. And then something's on the table after you do all 10 of them. So that's what you need to do. The only place you haven't been, which you could always come up here beforehand, but here's the last lore book. Yeah, so yeah, if you're wondering why things are like this in this place, basically the implication is that the Oni is kind of messing with things. Because, you know, none of this is normal, of course. And if you picked up on it earlier, the fact that there is a snowstorm at the beginning of the game was also not supposed to happen because the weather was supposed to be clear, but due to unforeseen circumstances, you know, because weird things are happening at the house as well as around the property, some things are not going according to plan. But you'll see that in a second. Also, the final boss of the original game was meant to be in a chase against a giant green Oni, but I thought that didn't really make sense, so I actually just made it one that I overlaid a rainbow onto, because, you know, actual Niji Oni. And I made it a boss fight, because there's a curse on this place. I decided to make it a boss battle, though, because generally speaking, I've noticed that everybody, at least when I did Snow 5, people really liked the dog boss, and they said that was consistently their favorite part of the game, so I wanted to do more boss battles, because honestly, those are my favorite things to put together also. So, I made this up in an interesting plot of something that I was going to use for another game, but it ended up making into this game now, so I don't regret it because I have more ideas now. But you know, it's a little weird because trying to come up with boss fight ideas, I feel like they make sense within Aoni, not necessarily that they're like puzzle based boss fights, but something that's not like RPG battles or whatever, and like completely absurd and doesn't make any sense. You know, it's a bit difficult to figure that out. But the way that this phase of the boss battle works, you have to get a rabbit. You have to kill one of the rabbits. And in order to kill the rabbit, you need the screwdriver as a blunt weapon. And if you were paying attention, which I mean, this isn't really something that's made to be completely obvious, but every time he goes over this thing, you can hear the click, which that's kind of meant to implicate that there is something there. So you put the rabbit on the sacrifice altar and then use a screwdriver as an improvised lever. And you do this for each one of them. Oh, shit. Because he will go immediately to the rabbit and stop chasing you. Oops. I was actually really proud of this fight when I got it working, because this is by far the most complex thing that I've made. And I actually really enjoyed it. So there is more boss fights to come in the new projects as well. So I hope you guys will look forward to that. Because I have a lot of fun making them in particular. And then phase 2. You guys might recognize this, but this is a different take on the dog boss fight I had in Snow 5, which basically just required you to find the one that was highlighted, but I did this one in a different way where I generated a random number and then I turned on a switch in accordance to the number rather than changing the like sprite and all that, just so they weren't always there. The thing is too is that I wanted to have originally 3 phases of this boss fight, but I really didn't have any ideas of what to do for the other phases, so I decided to kind of rehash something else that I had already done before, because I feel like people liked it and it made sense. And now, the final chase. Originally there was supposed to be more of those holes appearing throughout the place, kind of like how I did in the final chase of Snow 5. But I didn't end up doing that because it was way too much eventing. And same with the final boss and everything. There was actually a lot of lag being caused by the Pathfinder, because if you get way too far away from it, it starts to lag because it's trying to do a lot of calculations. So I had to patch it to where it doesn't... I keep them on things if they need to get around stuff, but I did not put them on things that were going to be far away from you either. Only things that were probably relatively close to you so that it wouldn't have to cause any particular problems. So this ending portion somewhat plays out a little bit more like the original game in a way, except the fact that when you run outside, that girl's not standing there. And I made this a cutscene rather than the original game that decided to make it to where you had the hole left, and then if you didn't, then you would just immediately die after making it out of the mansion because the Oni was too fucking fast. So I didn't end up doing that because I thought that was a little frustrating. I decided to have the bridge break because, you know, so that they couldn't get away or get to you or get out from where they were at. As I didn't really know the lore of Niji Oni 2 and 3 and 4, because I know that it's kind of like a chronological thing that they take place in, but I didn't know the exact lore of those games, so I built this game kind of to be open-ended in case I ever want to do a Niji Oni 2R. But I didn't initially have it in mind that I was going to do a second game, so I left it to the fact that I might or I might not, but we'll see. Also, yeah, the heat gun technically does have lore reasons to be there. I felt like at least I wanted to try and do something with it because it was still in the inventory. So then, end credits. If you'll notice that as well, I did something way different for the end credits in this game because Snow 5 had a scroll, but I wanted to do something different for the credits in this game, and this was an idea I had before I had even finished the game. But it's a series of pictures with all of the events or details happening in the game with, you know, the respective credits in it, which I like this a lot more, honestly. And generally, I think I just like this game a lot more than Snow 5, but I don't think they're particularly comparable. I think really the only sections that are dialogue heavy in this game is obviously the intro and the ending, but they're nowhere as heavy as the original, as like Snow 5. Which is one of my main gripes that I had with that game, because I was planning to do a dialogue rewrite at some point to completely condense it, but like honestly that was just a lost cause. It may happen at some point, but probably not, and there's absolutely no guarantee that it will. But I felt like I kind of fixed it with this game, because that was one of the things I wanted to address, because I really did not like how the game had that much dialogue. Because I've even noticed myself getting really pissy when I have a game that I'm playing that has way too much dialogue. So I tried to make it as minimal dialogue as possible while giving you all the information that you actually need for particular things, which is why I spent a lot of time actually writing the scripts for this game, and why they were like so minimalist was because I had to figure out a way to make them, you know, not way overbearing on the text. Oops, I just hit my microphone. But I like the fact that this game had a lot more gameplay than the other one too, because it's about an hour. I think both of the games are about an hour. But this one has way more gameplay, and I feel like it's a lot better for it. I was honestly kind of worried that it wasn't going to get to an hour by the time that I finished the development of the game. And in some circumstances it really isn't, because I've seen people maybe like 50 minutes, but the fact that it's around there, I'm fine with that. Although if you end up getting lost at any point in the game or don't know what to do, you'll probably be wandering around and your time will vary between like a few minutes, so it's probably closer to an hour. Also, if you guys are wondering who this character is, this is an OC of mine. I don't know if I ever explained that, but that's who this character is. It's on my profile picture and everything. So, yeah, that's Niji Oniar. If you guys want to download the game, you can find the link in the description. You can also go watch the trailers if you want. I mean, I don't know if you really want to play the game after you watch me just commentate over the whole thing, because I kind of just spoiled the entire game, but I do plan to have the developer commentary part of all of the development footage, so I can comment about that. I just have to go and track all of it down and kind of like condense it into one spot so that I can do that for a video. But that probably won't be anytime soon, but it'll happen eventually, I think. So, you guys can look forward to that if you want. But I've got some other things in the works right now. Probably nothing new until 2026, possibly. It really depends on how things go, but we will see. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the game. If you want to go look at the trailers or download the game, like this video, subscribe to the channel, all that stuff, it really helps a lot. I know that my community, well, I mean, I don't really have community, but I know that even this little niche fandom and whatever, even having like a little bit of attention in that way, you know, it kind of means a lot, because, you know, I'm not particularly doing this for attention, because I feel like this thing that I started doing was because of the fact that I always wanted to make Owl fan games when I was younger, but of course I didn't have the kind of necessary knowledge or even the money to actually buy the programs to use to make it, nor like the drive to actually make something that I would ever release, because I have a bunch of projects that are just lost, that never saw the light of day. So I am kind of like proud of myself for the fact that I've been able to stick with these projects and finish them, but I'm also somebody who's not starting something and that I don't finish it. So that's kind of how I see it now, and that's kind of the way that I stick with it. So I'm kind of glad that it's like this, because I put a lot of time and effort into this game and even my last one and even a new project that's coming up. But it would mean a lot if you guys did any of those things. Heck, even just downloading the game, you don't even have to play it. Like, just seeing the analytics of people playing it, because this game in particular has done a lot better than Snow 5. And my main reason I think that is probably because it's Niji Oni, and it's more of one of the popular kind of older Korean Oni fan games. But I would also like to think it was because of the game, at least, you know, being more horror focused as well as being just overall better, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if I really have much more to say than that, but in that case, I will see you guys whenever the next video comes out. You know, whenever I do commentary and stuff, because if there's another video that I release in between then, I'm probably not gonna have commentary on it, but you know, developer commentary obviously has my voice in it because it's developer commentary. Like, okay, well, with that, I will see you guys later. Bye.